got an unbelievable amount of respect for you guys. I know what this was, and there's all these arguments about what did this game really mean because of next week. I respect the out of you guys. I respect the out of how we roll the ball out and you guys just go out and compete. I can't even put it into words, man. I cannot put it into words. I love the hell out of you guys. I love the hell out of you guys. Listen, we did some things. We got 14 wins. All right, we already talked about once we got to where we were at 13 that we franchise record 14's a franchise record 8-0 on the road. Franchise record. All right, 8-0 on the road, which tells you at its worst we can go anywhere and win, gentlemen. That's the bottom line. Listen, you can't ask for anything better to be able to have the division and the 1 seed on the line back at home. Guys, this is what it's all about. This is why you're in this profession, man. This is as good as it gets. We're so thankful for this opportunity. This can be unbelievable. Appreciate you guys, man. It's a hell of a job. It's a hell of a ride, and we got one more. Break it down.
Hey, I can feel it right now, boys. We know what's at stake next week. Big boy game. Let's go. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win.
What up, doe? Welcome to Wake Up Woodward to a beautiful Victory Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
I am Detroit Justin Kool-Aid, and I am fired up right now for these Detroit Lions. I have my boy KG,
Yes,
who
sir.
we were having a blast on the watch party last night, and then around the infield, we have Chase Amley on the audio booth. Chase, how we feeling today?
We're feeling good. Victory Tuesday, celebrating the Lions win, but not too much. We're already on to Minnesota, so.
Yes, sir, and we are blessed with the presence of the fantasy champion and brother in the studio, which is a very, very special day for us because he is not here often. Brother, how are you feeling, and how did Woodward and Maine go this morning?
Let's go, baby. It went great. How about that Lions victory? We get another Victory Tuesday this season. I'm so excited for this team and what they're about to do, what they're about to accomplish. Not just here in the regular season, but with the playoff berth clinched already. 2024, baby. It's about to end, but this season's not over.
No.
I can't wait.
2025 will continue to be the Lions' year as they continue to do things that this franchise has never seen and continue to get these franchise accolades into their resume. And, of course, the MVP in the TD booth. We have Jay Bizzle. JB Smooth. How are we feeling?
I'm definitely tired. I'm still a little salty about the loss last night to not the Lions, but in fantasy to Broder. But if I can say anything, I'm glad I lost to him. He's a very good champion.
Let's go.
Yes,
Hey,
sir. We will be providing an update later in the week.
Yeah,
Just
JB, at
heads
least
up.
you didn't choke in the semis and then would have beat Broder in the finals. It could be worse, man.
Could
I
be
promise.
worse.
But
At least your quarterback didn't get a concussion at the beginning of the game.
yes, but we are in high spirits. We are not going to talk about fantasy. We are going to talk about the Detroit Lions. And I want to go around the room and get everyone's opinion on who you believe was the most critical factor in the Lions' victory yesterday. And for me personally, I mean, I think it has to be Jahmyr Gibbs. He truly showed everyone who was still doubted the fact that he could be a lead running back in an offense that narrative is way overstated. He had over 150 combined rushing and receiving yards. He had a touchdown, just an overall dominant performance. How about you, KG?
It's so many ways you can go with this, but I got to give love to the defense, bro. If nobody else going to do it, it's 31. It's
Yes,
Big
sir.
Curb. Without him, you do not win this ball game, man. And listen, a lot was made about, oh, your defense, oh, they're giving up so many points. They're giving up so many yards. I don't care. As long as there he is. But yeah, I don't care. As long as you go out there and you make crucial plays at crucial times, and you're able to get takeaways, and then those takeaways turn into points. Like, this Lions team is just so good. AG cooking up with what he has, and I thought he did a masterful job in the second half, but Kirby was a big part of that, getting those interceptions. And look, sometimes you get lucky. Brock Purdy, he gave you some gifts, man, but you took advantage of it. Shout out to Big Kirk, man. 31.
Yeah, Big 31 had a great day and was the catalyst of that defense getting those stops for this team. So let's hit Broder here. I want to know who your MVP is.
I like the Kirby pick, but I'm going to go with Jared Goff, the quarterback. 40 points. At 40 points, you needed every one of them. And he was the catalyst of that offense, getting the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs, both rushing and out of the backfield. I think he hit 7 different receivers. He was just on the money, fully in control. that defense is still pretty good for San Francisco, and Goff did what he does. Over 70% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns. I forget the total yardage. He was on the money again. Jared Goff making a case to be talked about in the MVP conversation. Maybe not number 1, but talked about.
Absolutely. And he was 0-6 in his last 6 games against the 49ers. And that is just so big for him to be able to go over that hump. JB Smoove, who is your MVP?
Well, me and KG are in lockstep because I'm even
You
wearing
damn
the
right.
man's hoodie as well too. 31 Savage. Shout out to Big Curb once again. Man, did you guys see him at the end of the game on the bench? He was tired. He was slumped over there, just like, hey, I done gave it my all. I done gave it everything. And thank you, Brock Purdy, for gift wrapping those interceptions for him again. But hey, shout out to the man once again.
John Lynch, after those interceptions, man,
Hilarious.
me and Kool-Aid
Had a meltdown.
were dying. It was way too funny. And shout out to Dante151 in the super chat.
Shout out.
$4.99. LFG, I hit on a 5-leg parlay, winning over $1,000. Also, the most critical factors were Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, and Kirby Joseph.
Well, that's why you're able to do so many super chats. We know now.
Yes,
You up
sir.
here hitting on parlays.
And shout
man.
out Randall Smalls as well. $10 super chat. Very emotional. If you still have your dad, share this with him. I wish I could. We got this. And yes,
shout out.
I am very blessed to be able to share these moments with my dad and with my family as well. My sister just became a Lions fan, and what a diehard Lions fan. She always was a Lions fan, but now she's fully invested, and it's so great to see. But we got it. We got one more person in this room. We got to hear Chase's MVP. Chase, who was your MVP of this game?
MVP of the game, I thought was Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, we need him to be that guy, the lead back, feature back. And I mean, he produced all over the field, catching the ball, running the ball, put the nail in the coffin late with that touchdown, won people a lot of money. So MVP, for the Lions and for people's pockets, I think sounds like Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
When we were in the watch party, Jahmyr Gibbs scored that touchdown. The chat blew up. We had 6 or 7 people hit for over $1,000 in the chat. And the super chats were coming in. Thank you for your guys helping us and benefiting us with your winnings. It is so appreciated. But these Lions just were absolutely amazing. And there are so many things that we have to talk about through this game. We have to talk about, Terrion Arnold. He was a big discussion of conversation. The Aaron Glenn, the Wash conversation when, we're down. And then all of a sudden he starts cooking and puts Kirby Joseph in a position to make plays and shuts everyone up. And, Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, Jameson Williams with another great game. The beautiful mind of Ben Johnson. Jared Goff continues to play himself into MVP conversation.
We ain't playing no games. You see the chain? Hey, Lions up, man. You see what Yeah, man, Lions up, man. Let's do it.
Lions up. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what? Flannel was the one who predicted that was probably going to be a closer game than a lot of us said. And he said not close just because they were playing the Lions tough, but because, late you would see them get a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's looking a little bit closer. 6-point win for them. But what really stood out for me is the play of Jared Goff, and it continues to stand out for me. I believe that the narratives, how people are now saying, oh, Sam Darnold should be starting to get some MVP conversation. You know what? Sure. You know what? They've had a fine season. Oh, you know what? Coach of the year should be determined by who wins this last game between the Lions and the Vikings. It's like, guys, has anybody seen, if you told me before the season the Lions are going to lose all these players and their record at worst is going to be 3 losses, bro, Coach of the year, Dan Campbell.
Absolutely.
Period. But now here we are, we're back embroiled in this, and it seems like people are forgetting just how much the Detroit Lions are cooking, just how much players like Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs, just how much they're carrying, just how big of a role guys like Kirby Joseph have to play. And when you look at Jared Goff, I do believe that last night is another one of those MVP type statements to not just keep him in the conversation, but make him somebody valuable to the point that you got to say, you know what? Jared Goff is just that dude, man. Hey, 26 of 34, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, 132 rating, 73.3 QBR in a place where, you know what? You go out there and just exact a little bit of revenge.
Oh, the most important stat, no turnovers.
No turnovers. And you know what? The fact that the offense was able to go out there and just hold serve and just I want to see, hey, can you guys go out there and get me 35, 40 points? Because when you talk about next week's game, which I know we're going to have the week to be able to break down, hey, can you keep up? Can you keep up? And just the overall synopsis, man, of this game, I was happy that they just went out there and handled business. Do you want to see a more comfortable size win against what some people think is depleted? You do. But when we were talking about it with Flannel yesterday, there were some things he brought up that honestly played out just exactly like he said. And Deebo Samuel was another one of those guys we thought, you know what? If they get him out and about in some space, it could cause some issues. But I was encouraged because if you can overcome George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brock Purdy winding back the clock to looking like the quarterback who should get the contract, outside of those 2 Kirby Joseph interceptions, then it's like, you know what, I'm confident in this team going forward. And I know that before the game, Kyle Shanahan said that this Lions defense is better than last year's defense.
Oh, without question, man. Even with all the injuries considered, just the way they're playing right now, the way that your depth has been able to step in and just make plays, man. Like this Lions team has gotten better all around. I mean, offensively, defensively, coaching wise, like everything is going right for this team. And you just got to feel like it's something special, man. Tell me again how this game didn't matter. I was on the watch party with Justin last night, and I kept saying it. The Lions left something in Levi Stadium last year, and they came to get their shit back. And boy, did they ever, man. And listen, it wasn't easy, it wasn't pretty, but they can't all be pretty at this time of the year, man. The Lions are in the playoffs right now. Like, I know the playoffs are supposed to start after this next week, but they are already in that mode. And this is why games like last night was important. You need to go out there and play that kind of football, face that kind of adversity, and be prepared for anything, man. And now they are in that mode. You got all the momentum you need going into this Minnesota game with everything on the line. And like I said, we are in the home stretch now. All you need is 4 more victories. I hope people at home realize that. 4 more victories until the mission is completed. So they need to go out there and do everything they need to do to ensure W's, and that's what they did last night.
Yeah, and that's where when I'm kind of zero focusing on a guy like Jared Goff going out there with all of the pressure. I don't care what people say in terms of, oh, well, y'all are supposed to beat them. No. I often say this, that the Lions offense put so much pressure on the other team's offense to have to play perfect. Last night was a difference of 2 Brock Purdy interceptions. Yeah, that's what the game came down to. And if Jared Goff, if he makes any type of mistake, we see that this thing could go the other way in a quickness. Luckily, we have a quarterback who is never down and out. But you never want to put yourself in a position where you're not playing clean football. We know that the secret to a Jared Goff masterclass is offensive line and clean football. Outside of that, there's not much anyone's doing to touch Jared Goff. Not even what some people would consider to be immobility, even though I think he's Vanilla Vic. At times. But think about it. Not even that this year has been able to slow down even the MVP conversation. What did was the 5 turnover game. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm just like, you know what? When you point out the fact that he played clean football, when you point out the fact that really the Lions played clean football, that's the difference even between this game versus the one in the NFC Championship game. They executed. And I loved the long drive in the fourth quarter. To just make it obsolete. So even if San Francisco was going to score, the Lions took like 8 minutes off the clock in that fourth quarter and just did their thing and then said, hey, listen, the game for all intents and purposes is just over. And you need a quarterback as good as Jared Goff, one that you know you can trust, to do that. This is what we talked about yesterday. You know what? Can other quarterbacks do this against us? I haven't seen it that much. I haven't. I've seen Jared Goff go out consistently and beat our opponents in this way. High IQ, manages the game well. Listen, you're not getting the ball back until we say you're getting the ball back, especially when he's playing clean. That, to me, when you think about this, the other team's offenses have to play just as perfect to keep up. But how perfect does Jared Goff and offense have to play to make up for the deficiencies on the defensive side? No, it's huge, man. And to have a guy that's out there, and let's just be real about it, Jared Goff is in his prime right now. He is playing his best football. So Dan Campbell wasn't lying? No, not at all. Like, as a Ram, sure, he was good. He had numbers. But him as a Detroit Lion is like a different animal, man. The way that he goes in the games, composed, nothing seems to rattle him. He goes out there, he executes the game plan. And say what you want about him, he's pushing the ball down the field. I mean, some of those passes yesterday, things of beauty, man. He was absolutely putting it on the money right when you needed him to, man. And it doesn't matter. He can spread the ball around. He's not locked into one guy or two guys the whole game. He spreads the ball around. And
late in games, when they have a lead or they're in a winning time situation, he's not going to let you down. And that's the biggest thing about Jared Goff right now, man. He is just he's playing at a level. And listen, he lost the MVP off a narrative. We all know that. A national TV game against the Bills, you knew they were going to count that against him. And let's just be real, the Lions got boat raced. It is what it is. But I would much rather have Jared Goff in my fight than a lot of these other QBs. And listen, I know they got the stats, they got the flashy plays, but what Jared Goff does for this offense, the sense of calm that he always has back there.
A lot of these quarterbacks.
Thank you, man. The ability to not turn the ball over in crucial moments of the game. I think that's huge, especially in terms of getting into playoff football, man.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And you know what? Just a few stats here when you think about just how good this Lions offense has been. But really, I think it's a testament of not just their coaches, but their leaders as well. And that at the top is always going to be the quarterback, Jared Goff. 4 players over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. And why that matters is, remember before the season, we said, can everybody eat? You can't have 4 players with 1,000 yards. But they got 4 players with 1,000 yards.
We
Boy,
did.
It's like Victory Tuesday is really starting to set in right now. Because it's Amon-Ra, it's Jamison Williams, who just needs 33 yards. 33 yards, Flannel.
Almost. He almost had it last night.
He almost had it
Man.
last night. It was like I told you. For some reason, outdoors, count on him to get at least 1 or 2 chunk plays. They just every outdoor game they do that, and I get why. But then you got the 2 running backs as well, and the reason why it's interesting, why you got to call out Jared Goff is because the receiving yards that these running backs are putting up. David Montgomery is having his best receiving game in maybe his career. His best receiving season up until he got hurt in his career. That's with Jared Goff. Amon-Ra St. Brown went from kind of afterthought in the draft to top paid, one of the top paid wide receivers in all of the NFL. And now Jahmyr Gibbs, who went from, hey, we're going to bring him along slow in this first season to, we promise you he's a weapon, to supersonic last night, 163 yards and a touchdown for Jahmyr Gibbs. And a lot of this has to do about what's going on between the ears of Jared Goff. They do have to, the playmakers have to execute. But we've seen quarterbacks with weapons here who could not execute. And that's to me, it's like when you look at what Jared Goff is doing, don't deduce this down to just, well, look at the weapons around him.
I hate that. I hate that narrative.
I hate when they do that. And that's it. Look, people can keep saying that. People can keep doing that. But then all of a sudden we see a guy, more stats, who's leading the league in 50-yard plus passes.
Yeah, man. And the wins should be a QB stat at this point. Wins matter. And the man just goes out there and he wins fucking ball games. And I think that's the most important stat of them all, man, especially when you are late in the season and you need wins like this, man. Say what you want about the game, didn't matter. And yes, from a technical standpoint, it did not matter, man. But for the morale of this team to have your quarterback go out there and play like that, what worries do you have as an offensive coordinator, as a fan? Yep. Like, you know that every time 16 straps him up, he's going to go out there and give you his best football.
And you said, what worries do you have? You know what? If there's any worries to having anything, there's one person I know who can find it. What up, Cavassier Chase? Any worries?
Pastor Cavassier.
MVP statement, boy. What up, though?
Hey, you act like I'm always trying to like poke holes and stuff. I'm always up here lifting up the line.
Listen, Chase. You Batman somebody, bro. Like, he was like, we were looking at a what's trending. He was like, I can find out where that's at. And we were all like, ha ha. And then you literally found out where it's at. So I'm like, you know what? This man can uncover anything. You're like the question from DC.
I have to look up who that is, but that sounds cool. I don't know. What is there like to doubt about this team? And we fought through more adversity than any other team has had to deal with. Like you guys have talked about, like we've talked about all season. We have a whole roster of starters, whether that be, I don't know, offensive starters, defense starters. We have a ton of dudes, almost a whole 22 players on IR, either gone for the year or missing significant portions of the season. Through it all, only 2 losses. Got a chance at home to lock up not only the division, but the #1 seed in the entire conference, make the playoffs, run through Detroit. I mean, there's no reason at all to doubt this team. They haven't given us any reason all season to doubt this team.
Not at all. Even through all of the adversity, even through all of the injuries, even through all of the noise. That's what's been interesting, is that this team is doing it while the national narrative has continued to try and bury them. First, they try to say, wow, look at this cute America's team, but let's just throw the dirt on them. Like, bro, that's effed up.
Yeah.
And then it went to, look at these bad guys, these villains, throw dirt on them, and we just won't allow you to. It's like, if you continue to believe in that first reaction to Dan Campbell rather than understand he's just a cold-hearted killer, People still all across the internet, people talking about the 4th down calls. Do you know how many people I saw saying things like, "Yo, he still ain't learned his lesson"? And that's
Listen,
the
man.
sense, like these guys keep doubting people like Dan Campbell, who should be coach of the year, like Jared Goff, who should firmly be in the MVP conversation. Keep doubting these guys, man.
Yep.
Keep doubting them.
At every turn, they're going to prove you wrong. And if you want a Super Bowl, Dan Campbell's going to get to that Super Bowl his way. So if you don't like 4th downs, hey, strap in, man. It's going to be a long ride.
4th downs. You know what? We got to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. Supersonic again. Second game without David Montgomery. Second game, not just with 100 total yards, but over 100 yards rushing.
Yes, sir.
And if people talk about, can he really take kind of the physicality, and can he provide the physicality that a David Montgomery can? And there was something that we stated on a previous show, and you, Flannel, and others, we got a squad in that running back room. We do. I saw Craig Reynolds. I saw Jefferson. What's his name? Jefferson go out there.
Jamar
Jefferson, yeah. Go out there and hold it down. Instead, you're not going to get perfection. But I saw Craig Reynolds go out there on a couple of these drives and get you 3, 4, 5 on the first downs, on the second down. Some of the things that we're used to. And I believe that it was perfect because a couple of those plays, you saw Jahmyr Gibbs get up a little, sometimes a little bit stretching that leg. And it's like, to know that you can go to your bench. You know that you're going to get a superstar performance from Jahmyr Gibbs. But to